The Bruins against the Rangers, back-to-back games are complete, and those two games could not have been different. The Bruins were coming off getting really embarrassed in the third period against the Islanders Thursday night. So that was a close game, and the Islanders ended up winning 7-2. They scored 5 goals in the third period. So I was expecting the Rangers, honestly, Friday night to certainly lose and potentially by a lot. But that didn't happen at all. Did not happen at all. And one thing that really didn't make a difference, but I was surprised about. So I had said that I thought that Georgiev was going to start against Boston in the last episode. That was true. But I was wrong about Boston. I thought that they would go with Rask against the Islanders and Halak against the Rangers Friday, but they didn't. And maybe the thinking there was more so Rask had lost some games against Boston, so they wanted to go with Halak there. And so Rangers faced Tuukka Rask. The Rangers really played a very good game on Friday. So the Rangers in the first period get a goal by Phil DiGiuseppe. Originally, the goal was credited to Julien Gauthier, but it was later changed. It went off DiGiuseppe's leg and in. So that made it 1-0. And you have to remember, with this game, there was definitely a lot of chippiness the last time these two teams played. And that definitely existed this weekend. So Rangers made it 1-0. And then Ryan Strome would score in the second period on a beautiful pass by Alexis Lafreniere. And this would extend the Rangers' lead to 2-0. But Boston would come right back with a goal by Patrice Bergeron. And I'm thinking, oh, great. Not exactly what you want after getting the 2-goal lead. Boston comes right back. But the Rangers at the end of the period would get a power play goal by Colin Blackwell, continuing to produce for this team. Really someone that people probably didn't even know who Colin Blackwell was going into this year, and he's been great. So, great deflection goal. And then, even better, maybe within the next 30 seconds, probably less actually, maybe the next 15, Chris Kreider scores a goal. And he's been on a bit of a streak, and that was his 9th goal of the season. So that would make it 4-1, and it wouldn't stop there. So the Rangers early in the third would get 2 more goals, one by Pavel Buchnevich on a beautiful pass by Adam Fox. It was a tap-in for Buch. And then Johnny Brodzinski would actually score. So another, kind of no-name. And I wouldn't expect him to be with the Rangers for much longer. But Brodzinski would make it 6-1. And I'm thinking at that point, let's maybe save some of these goals for Sunday's game against Boston. And, kind of half joking. And Boston would score a goal, Marchand, to make it 6-2. But, really good start for Georgiev. And Rangers, with a very impressive, one of their best wins of the year, a 6-2 win against Boston. And that's 2 in a row where Boston really gets kind of demolished. Again, the Islander-Boston game was close for 2 periods, and Islanders really ran away with it in the third. The Ranger-Boston game, Rangers really just took it to them from start to finish. And this was their first win without Panarin. And one other note, just one lineup change was made. Anthony Bitetto for these Boston games was out of the lineup, Jack Johnson in. I'm not a big fan of Johnson, and Bitetto's not great. And I'm sure that'll be a situation that kind of changes by each game. So we'll see. But Johnson would play these 2 games and would actually be mostly paired with Libor Hayek, and Miller would stay with Brendan Smith. So I kind of thought that what they would do is, because Miller, had been out with COVID, and I thought that, so that was actually what that was the change, excuse me. Miller had actually come in and they took Bitetto out. So it had been Johnson with Smith. And obviously Miller was coming back. So, they end up taking out Bitetto. And, again, not a huge deal. So we go to Sunday's game. And you had to expect that Boston was going to come really hungry. And they did. And this game probably went about as expected. But it's still disappointing. Surprisingly, Georgiev was back in net. And he was actually good today. We'll talk about Georgiev. He was actually, he was good. I was surprised, though, that he was starting. Rask was in net again for Boston. And it was just one of those games where, from the beginning, it felt like, it's going to be tough to score goals today. And it was. And Charlie Coyle would get the scoring started after Georgiev was kind of taken down. Nick Ritchie, it was not on purpose, but Nick Ritchie fell on Georgiev, and Georgiev was bleeding, and he seemed kind of woozy, and they had to attend to him. Then Coyle scores. Very nice goal by Coyle. He kind of got around Keandre Miller, made a great wrist shot, top shelf. Then Georgiev is taken out, so the NHL called down, and it was for concussion protocol. So probably one of those things where he probably shouldn't have played in that situation. He ended up being fine, but Shesterkin came in, and the Rangers played a decent first period, but by the time, the period ended, Boston would score on a goal by Trent Frederick, a deflection in front on a shot by Connor Clifton, and that was a play where I believe Miller turned the puck over, but Lemieux really did a bad job in kind of just letting Clifton take the shot. Not great defense by Brandon Lemieux. So, and that really hurt them. So Boston's up 2-0, and really at that moment you're feeling like this just isn't going to happen. Rangers had an earlier, after Boston made it 1-0, Rangers had a 4-on-3, then a short 5-on-3. Couldn't get anything going. Charlie McAvoy, Long Beach native, would make it 3-0 Boston in the second. And in the third, Colin Blackwell would score, again, his 5th goal of the year, just producing points. He's really been one of their best players. And another assist for Alexis Lafreniere, continuing to get better every game. It's a slow process, but really, he's definitely been one of their better players, and it's good to see. And Boston would eventually get an empty net goal, but disappointing loss to the Rangers here, and it drops them to 7-9-3. They're not going to make the playoffs this year. That's just not going to happen for a multitude of reasons. And it's really more about the maturation of the young kids. And that side of it has been mostly good. Mostly good. Certainly in terms of like the Lindgren and Fox pair has been really impressive. When Kakko was playing, the stats wouldn't suggest it, but he was really one of their best players. And it's a shame that he went on the COVID list. And like I said, Lafreniere, you would have liked to have seen more, but it's really getting there now. So that's one thing. And the goaltending has been strong. Some early season struggles, but it's strong. Here is what I want to talk about. So Mika Zibanejad really has been awful. There's no other way to put it. And he, in that first Boston game when they scored 6 goals, really didn't have much to do with it. And then today, looked terrible. So, what are they going to do with him? He has played 19 games this year, has 2 goals and 4 assists, and one of those goals was an empty net goal. One of the assists was an empty net-led assist. And he doesn't have any goals even strength. And assists, I think he has maybe one. Yeah, one. I believe he has 1 even strength point, which is insane. I mean, again, this guy was one of the hottest players in the whole National Hockey League when the pause happened last year. He's a different player. And could you just explain it as just one bad year and a shortened year with weird stuff? Sure. But this is a problem at this point. And with Hedl, hopefully coming back Tuesday, I think that Philip Hedl will be in the lineup against the Sabres. Not definite, but just a guess. And with that in mind, I think you have to move Zibanejad down in the lineup. Ryan Strome, even without Panarin, has been pretty good. He's far from perfect. Wasn't a great game today, but he had 3 points the other night. And again, this is without Panarin. So you see something from him. And again, today, I felt like the Strome line was better than the Zibanejad line. So there's that. And then Philip Hedl was playing very well before he got hurt. So I understand not wanting to move Zibanejad down with Howden and Rooney. I get that. But and maybe you don't do it immediately. Maybe you let Hedl play a couple games. But again, you got to hold Zibanejad accountable. And this is coming from someone who's a big fan of the guy. Really, since he's been a Ranger, he's been very good. I mean, everyone says that Gorton trade where they traded away Brassard to Ottawa is going to go down as one of the best trades you'll ever see. But this is extremely concerning. And when I look at this year, he kind of represents the mostly negative part of this year. And I know David Quinn is not loved by many fans. I believe that he will certainly make it through this season unless things really got out of control. I don't see him getting fired. We'll see how the rest of the season goes and whether he kind of makes it for next year. And I think that this week with games coming up against the Sabres and Devils, I think it's more like if you lose those games, you don't look good, that's concerning. And again, expectations for me aren't really high, especially with the roster that they're putting out there right now. It's not great. It really isn't. And, you know, there's just a lot of inconsistencies, but it's really Zibanejad that I think is just a major talking point, and deservedly so. And I don't know what is going on, but really from the start of the season, except for kind of a few games here and there, it's just been consistently bad, and they can't afford that. This team's going to go nowhere if he doesn't pick it up. So, and it just makes for a very interesting decision as far as how they approach the future of Zibanejad, who is going to be a free agent after next season. So, yeah, we'll see how things go. Like I said, I think Hedl should return for the Sabres. You have a game against Buffalo at MSG Tuesday. It's nice to see the fans back. They certainly helped the first game against Boston, but the fans couldn't do anything today. There was no hope for this game against the Bruins. And then the Rangers will be going to New Jersey for games Thursday and Saturday. And then they'll be playing at Pittsburgh Sunday and next Tuesday. So after this Buffalo game, you'll be seeing some more away games for the Rangers, who've played a lot at MSG. So, like I said, Rangers split with Boston, one really good game, one really bad game. And it's kind of how it's been this year. So we'll see what this week holds.